All right, I wanted to do a quick video here on a math problem that's shown up a few times on Facebook. It's one of these little trick puzzle problems that ends up confusing a lot of people. And this one, it's 7 plus 7 divided by 7 plus 7 times 7 minus 7 equals. All right, first of all, a little background. The Order of Operations Convention allows for people all over the world to get the same answer to a problem. There's a structure to this convention that was developed and started all the way back in the 16th century. Basically, some of the first books on algebra began with showing order of operations. Um, there's a lot of confusion and some wrong assumptions about the use of order of operations. It's a convention that's been agreed on. That's been used for a very long time. It's been used in all schools, really. I mean, nobody can go back 100 years and find a textbook that teaches it any other way. Um, Order of operations is also known by a lot of different mnemonics and acronyms around the world. In English speaking countries, different mnemonics that I'm familiar with are PEMDAS, BODMAS, BEDMAS, and BIDMAS. Once in a while, I'll see somebody write BOMDAS, which honestly is fine. These mnemonics and the acronyms, they all refer to the same convention, the very same order of operations. And these rules, really I want to call it a convention, they apply in all situations, not just for algebra and not just for when there are parentheses or brackets. These apply all the time. And the way this convention works is you first look at a problem, an equation or expression, and you look for parentheses. Okay, that's the very first operation. If you don't have any of those, or if you've solved what's in parentheses, you look at exponents. If you don't have any exponents, the next thing you're looking at, number 3, is multiplication or division, and you solve those left to right. Multiplication and division have equal precedence, so one doesn't come before the other. You're just looking left to right and solving them. And then number 4 is you look for addition or subtraction left to right, and you solve those. It doesn't really matter which order you solve addition or subtraction, but you basically just go left to right, solve them, and you're fine. These mnemonics, they oftentimes confuse people into thinking that there are 6 steps to order of operations, when in truth there's only 4. It doesn't matter which of these mnemonics you learned or where you were taught in the world, the order of operations convention is the same. So it's not different in the USA from the UK, from Singapore, from China, from Japan. It's all the same. Multiplication and division are the same operation, and they've got equal precedence. You know, I can multiply 10 times 2, or I can divide 10 by 0.5, or 10 by 1/2. It's the same thing. The answer you're going to end up with is 20 in both cases. Now, when you're solving a problem with multiplication and division, you look at the 4 steps of operations and you solve multiplication and division as you encounter them, left to right. Um, Also, it's good to remember addition and subtraction are the same operation. They have equal precedence. Subtraction's the same thing as adding a negative number. So if someone tells you that division always comes before multiplication because BODMAS tells them so, or someone else tells you that multiplication always is solved first before division because PEMDAS tells them so, those individuals wasted a lot of time memorizing the order of 6 letters in a mnemonic, and they didn't understand how the order of operations actually works and why order of operations only has 4 steps to it, not 6. That's a huge problem where I see that confused a lot. So back to this problem here. You got 7 plus 7 divided by 7 plus 7 times 7 minus 7. All right. So Many of these puzzles, again, have a gotcha, like a lack of parentheses, etc. And a lot of people will say, well, if you don't have parentheses, order of operations doesn't apply. And that, I don't know where that got started, but that is completely false. If you don't have parentheses, you don't have exponents, you just go down the list. And number 3, you look at multiplication and division. So in this problem, the way that we're going to solve it is you first look at it. We don't have, number 1, we have no parentheses. Number 2, we have no exponents. Number 3, division is the first operation between multiplication and division that we run into going left to right. So we're going to do that division first, right? And that is 7 divided by 7. Now, well, yeah, in this case, I'm using the forward slash. I'm not going to go over division and the different conventions that were used way back in the day, depending on whether you used, the division sign, whether you used this forward slash, whether or not you had parentheses in there. The way that it's looked at today is that if I don't have anything in parentheses or brackets in that denominator, I'm only looking at the next number. Okay, that's the convention. So 7 divided by 7 is 1. So in number 3, we're going to end up with 7 plus 1 plus 7 times 7 minus 7. So we've simplified it a little bit. Number 4, solve the multiplication next. So the multiplication shows up after the division in this problem, right? So we're going to do it next. 7 times 7 is 49. So now our problem becomes 7 plus 1 plus 49 minus 7 equals. Oops, I jumped ahead here. All right, we solved the multiplication, all right? So now we're just left with addition and subtraction. And as far as addition and subtraction, you just do those left to right. I've heard the people on the forums go, oh, you always have to do the subtraction first. Well, you can if you want. It doesn't matter. There's no rule that says you have to do subtraction first. There's no rule that says you have to do addition first. And honestly, it doesn't matter. You can do these in any order. You're going to get the same answer because addition and subtraction are really the same thing. But basically, let's just go left to right. 7 plus 1 is 8. 8 plus 49 is 57. 57 minus 7 is 50. That is your answer. Now, I see a lot of confusion with people using calculators, and someone will give me a screenshot of their little Dollar General special that they bought. The thing is, a lot of calculators are not set up to do these long expressions like this. They're not set up. What they do is they automatically hit the equal sign. Every time you do an addition or a multiplication or a division, these calculators are basically hitting the equal sign for you and solving that, which is not what you're doing here. If you see the way this problem is written, first of all, the equal sign is all the way at the end. So you're not supposed to hit the equals till you've done all these operations. So there's a big source of confusion. If I do this on my Android phone, I've got a newer Samsung, and I enter this in, it comes up with 50. So this calculator in this mode is already programmed for order of operations. And you might find that to be true on your Android or iPhone. Most of your phone calculators, if they're current, they pretty much already run in scientific mode, and they're going to be fine. My Windows 11 calculator app on my PC, the big thing here is it has to be in this scientific mode, which basically means that it's doing all the operations as it should. It's programmed for order of operations. You get the answer of 50. I'll see a lot of people post screenshots of their calculator where they're leaving it in standard mode, which basically, if you leave your calculator in standard mode, it's going to give you an answer probably like 56, because what it's doing is it's doing every operation as it comes, which is really, really not the way to do it. Wish I could bring that up. Maybe I can do that real quick in this video. I wasn't really preparing to do that, but let's give it a try here. I've got my calculator off to the side. 7 plus 7. Now, as soon as I hit the divide, see what it did? It did 7 plus 7. divide by 7 plus 7. So what it's doing here is already right off the bat, what it did is it did 7 plus 7 is 14. And then, did a division by 7 and got 2. Now it's going to probably add 7 again and get 9. So it's doing it left to right. And some people will say, well, that's proof that you're supposed to do it left to right. That's what I was taught back in school 30 years ago, 40 years ago, back in the 50s, back in the 60s, whatever you want to make up. But it's not true. Order of operations goes back a very, very long time. As a matter of fact, you can't find a textbook printed in the last 100 years that didn't teach order of operations. So when someone makes that claim that they were taught differently, there's three possibilities. They either forgot, they didn't pay attention, or all of their mathematics teachers were incompetent. So really, when you're saying something like that, you're throwing your math teachers under the bus, because nobody was taught that unless their teachers were incompetent. So you don't want to trust the standard mode on your calculator at all. All right, I hope this video has been helpful, and take a look at some of the other ones. I got a little bit more description, more detail on order of operations within the channel. Thanks again.